been a while since I've made a video, and that's because I really haven't done a lot of work on the tire wall. I got busy with a lot of other things, but this summer I'm back to it, and you can see I'm starting to do the finished steps. Just real quick, underneath there I put a footer that goes the whole way down about 2 feet. That's all reinforced with rebar and remesh. That's level with the brick, and then the steps start in. Now I'm doing this by myself, so I'm pouring this basically 1 or 2 steps at a time, depending on whether or not I have a little bit of help with if my son's off work or my wife's home. But normally I'm doing it by myself, so I usually only can get 1 step done at a time, because we're in the Midwest and we are suffering from some massive flooding, and about every day I have rain problems. So getting 1 step completely done, formed out, the rebar and everything in it, and then poured, for me is in my mid-50s is about all I can deal with. But what I wanted to show you today specifically was, if anybody does this using tires as kind of your foundation work, which is what this is. I've seen a lot of people say that, you know, they think this is the finished product. This is just the foundation. This is like 2x4s or 2x6s. That's not the, you know, the finished stuff is kind of what you see over here. You can see that there's the finish. This is just the foundation. So, and the steps, this, you can see this step here is a little lighter than those because it's got a coloration built, powder coloring into the concrete when I pour it to give it a deeper hue when I go to acid stain it. But this is a step that got rained on. I didn't quite get her finished. And you can see I've got some finish work that needs to, I'll have a little grinding where stuff kind of ooze through. But that's not a big deal. A little slurry where, you know, kind of didn't vibrate well enough to fill in all the little air holes, but that's all finished work. That's not a big deal. But you can see as I go up, you know, the tires are forming the sidewalls. So to hold my forms in, I'm using the previous form, and then that gets cleated to a tire, and then these cleats move up to hold, so that next one will be held in. And you can see I've got a little bit of a, I've done that on purpose. There's a bit of a crown so water will flow, and there's a bit of a slope, because when I'm all finished there'll be a little bit of a downward curb here to catch water on the sides. These aren't the finished edges. There'll be a little bit of concrete that comes in, so that slope there is to allow water to drain towards what will eventually be a little bit of a curb, where the water will kind of want to run to the sides and down and then off the face. So anyway, so this one's a little unique because I've got a situation where down there, obviously I had sideboards just like this to make those forms. But you can see right here I got a little bit of a creature that's a little different, because this step, each step, by the way, has a tread of 12 inches and a rise of 6 inches. So, and I go along and mark, there's a mark for the next step, and you can see my pencil mark down there for this form here. But you can kind of see here I got a problem, because how am I going to form that side with that tire there? Well, that's where good old 2-inch insulated foam comes in play. And then you can see I've cut it and carved it to fit over that tire. Now, what I did there was, you can kind of see, it's kind of hard with the shadows, but right here there's a pencil mark. And in that pencil mark, it comes down, and then I used, you know, forming, this I think is for the other side, but you can kind of get the idea. Then I just push down to get that first carve, that carve line. So, you know, then it takes a little, you know, once you do it in the rough, now you got to go back, and you can kind of see that dark mark there. that's where the tire is actually rubbing. So when you push down on it and kind of move it a little bit, it'll put a mark on your foam to see where you're high and you need to carve a little more. But you can see now when I put this in here, now what I've done is I've made this so that it will square up. So when I put it in there, kind of hard to do with one hand, but when I get that squared up, now you can see it'll fit in there and form out okay. And then what I'm going to do is put that 2x4 right there behind this foam. I'm going to glue them together, glue that 2x4 onto this foam, and then put some stakes on the back of that. And I may just put a little piece of plywood there to overlap that and screw that in to hold that. But then I'll level that up and all that. So that's one way of dealing with a goofy situation if you're working with this tire wall formwork to create a form. Use this pink insulation. Where's my little I carved over here so the little beads don't get over where you can see it over here. But Milwaukee and several other people make one of these folding handheld knives. That's what I use to carve that foam with, and you can see there's all the, you know, it takes a little bit of time. Don't cut off too much, just and then you'll get her worked in there and all that. So haven't got my cross support rebar or remesh in there yet. The other thing I do here, because it's just me and I wait for this last pour to harden up so that I can walk on it, is I use a concrete adhesive like Elmer's Glue All. Quikrete makes a glue. It's basically Elmer's Glue All, and then you can make a slurry with it. I think it's 3-to-1 ratio, and just spray that in there and then start pouring your concrete anywhere you spray. So you want to make sure that you don't spray too much on your form. I use wax or oil, you know, to get that release agent on there, and then it's and I'll do the same to that. Don't forget to wax, and Johnson's Wax Works pretty good on that, because if you don't wax that, boy, that's gonna make you a mess. So wax that really good if you use that as a form. Anyway, so that's kind of where I'm at this year. I'm hoping to have these done. This step here that's being formed out today and poured, that'll be the halfway mark to get to the top, and then we'll move on from there. But I haven't made a video for a while because I haven't been working on this, but I appreciate you guys watching. Thanks a lot. Bye.